Payment. The doctor's house, addressed at 30 Blake, was like a massive, multi-layered cake, with sculpted frosting in a handsome mix of gray stone roofs and salmon-colored bricks. Its porch's spindles formed the piping scheme, as if the balusters were buttercream. The gabled spire was Victorian proper, and crowned it like a stately tower topper. 8 stairs led to the double entry doors that opened to its pinewood finished floors, and papered walls were skirted by wainscoting, with tin-pressed ceilings bordered by crown molding. To see the excess and the luxury made Clancy's heart ignite with jealousy. In private thoughts he cussed and swore he'd never been in such a house before. It seemed to him that Rose's thoughts were filled with spite for those with homes upon the hill, but she was thinking that she'd like to own his china hutch, which cost more than their home. The doctor rambled as he led them through, retelling tales they weren't listening to, of famous people that they didn't know and distant places that they'd never go. His office, with shelves of vials on the wall, had a doctor's bed that propped up tall, where Clancy sat. Bare feet were dangling, and swung with nerves the boy was wrangling. The doctor hung his top hat on a hook, which caused Miss Rose to give her son a look and cleared her throat as if it were a cough, reminding him that hats were taken off. So Clancy snatched his hat from off his head and set it down upon the doctor's bed. The doc was searching in his bag to grasp the handle of a magnifying glass. He placed it on the bed at Clancy's side and spoke into his bag. "Come out! Don't hide!" When Doc had found the vial of iodine, he shouted to the ceiling, "Caroline!" Within the room above they all could hear a tiptoe trot as dainty as a deer's, that faded following the hall and stairs. The country folk looked up with vacant stares. He whispered to explain to them, "My granddaughter. The girl is such a gem, but what a tragedy she has endured. Poor child. By now I'm sure you must have heard." Their puzzled faces moved him to explain. He said, "An accident. A railway train. Her parents lost. Her father was my son. And I am next of kin, her only one." A mist arose upon his gray-blue eyes, resembling his homeland's dreary skies, and filling lids were clouds about to pour, that rained a drop as she walked through the door. When Clancy saw the unfamiliar creature, he was transfixed by every stunning feature. That face of flawless femininity was like a portrait of divinity. Her skin looked petal soft, both white and sleek, but with a natural rouge upon her cheek. The ringlets of her hair in golden twists were like the ribbons dressing fancy gifts. "My Caroline, please won't you be a doll? Go heat the kettle till you hear its call. We need a compress for this lad, Macree, and Rose and I could use a spot of tea." Before the girl complied, she shot a glance, a cannonball that crossed the vast expanse and pierced the wooden hull of Clancy's heart. A single shot had splintered him apart. The boy was drifting in the ocean of her eyes, completely at the mercy of her tides, a shipwrecked soul who gaped at turquoise seas, marooned upon an island no one flees. And all at once the boy became aware of his appearance and disheveled hair. His dirty face was flush, albeit subtle. Miss Rose could recognize that this was trouble. The scalding towel pressed against his chin sent aching waves of pain inside of him. He clenched his eyes and balled his wincing cheeks, but no frontiersman would cry out with shrieks. Plus, Clancy wouldn't dare produce a tear with Caroline still there and standing near. When Doc took off the heated towel press, he said with sureness, "That should have success." He gave the rag to Caroline to hold, and as she realigned the towel's fold, he said, "Please keep it here, below his jaw." Her touch as tender as a gentle paw. This bold frontiersman suddenly was shy, and wouldn't look the damsel in the eye. He'd rather hold a long extended gaze into the sun than glance upon her rays. The doctor's eye the glass had magnified was keenly flicked with movement side to side. He dripped the iodine in Clancy's cut. A stream of red went flowing down the rut. From off his chin the rusty liquid ran upon the towel held within her hand. And when the doc was done, he said to her, "My dear, please hold it here just as you were." "Where is my mind? Forgot to grab the gauze." The doctor's searching caused an awkward pause, where Clancy fought the gravitational pull to look at her until his eyes were full. Within the game of life they were considered a queen and pawn, and though they greatly differed, in such a moment there were no rules or roles. Their eyes were magnets from opposing poles. Their pupils stuck, which stopped the earth from spinning, and there she was. Her porcelain face was grinning right at the country boy, the foreign thing. At once the iodine had lost its sting. Although the doctor was oblivious, Miss Rose could see through all of this, that Caroline, with hand on Clancy's chin, was showing all the signs she fancied him. The twirling of her hair, her playful look, served as effective bait upon the hook, which Clancy gulped in pure infatuation. He wriggled in a squirmy situation. Miss Rose inquired to save this dangling fish, "So, Caroline, how do you like Miss Tish?" Her voice had stopped the flutter of their hearts, and the magnetic pull was pried apart. "She's lovely, with a style all her own, but different than the teachers back at home. When she's unwell, she's quite direct. But in poor health, what else would one expect?" Rose said, "Well, bless her heart, she awful sick. I reckon anyone would anger quick if dealed a hand as bad as she been dealed." "We've all been praying that she will be healed." No other words were said because they knew that even though their faith in God was true, no miracle would come, and what seemed best would be for her to have eternal rest. Their halfway smiles showed the tempered woe of those who've prayed but have received a no. The doctor spoke while holding up a roll. "I've got it!" like he held an ancient scroll. "And that should do it," the smiling doctor said, when he had finished wrapping Clancy's head. It started at his chin and then around the country boy's untidy hair and crown. Doc handed him a mirror. "Take a peek." The bandage pulled and made it hard to speak, but Clancy said, "It's worser than before." He sulked. "I looked like I was in a war." He put his homemade hat on with a frown. Abashed, he yanked its brim and kept it down, avoiding being seen by one so stunning. Doc said, "Don't worry, lad, it's quite becoming." Her grandpa's comment brought the girl to giggle, reminding him that Jake said girls are fickle. Her laugh was innocent, but it became an evil towny cackle, deeming shame. just like their quips when he was bottom bare and taking whips from Dowdy, firm and square. "We oughtn't keep the dog," said Rose Macree. "We thank you for the medicine and tea." It neither was a bother nor a fuss, but still, we have the payment to discuss. Miss Rose replied, "The payment? Red was clear. Ain't got no payment, Doc, I swear, sincere. The money from the market's all we got, but we was stuck back in that awful lot." He said, "Some bills are paid by what is given, yet other ones are paid through a condition. And here it is. My Maggie had a litter, but we have one remaining little critter, a handsome pup of finest disposition, not rowdy, not a runner with ambition. He's meek and minds, no whining with demands. Your payment is to take him off my hands." Excitement filled young Clancy's bandaged face. He gasped and felt his heart began to race. Giving a begging look, "Oh, Mama, please! He's healthy, Rose, and free of all disease." She answered Clancy, "'Nother mouth to feed? Ain't that about the last thing that we need? You gonna share your food from off your plate? Who's gonna care for him, 'cause you sure can't?" The doctor made a gesture with his cane, and Caroline left, as the doc explained. "The truth is, Rose, that hounds don't cost that much. They hunt when hungry, hares and squirrels and such. And if you train him right, he will be able to add more food upon your dinner table." Miss Rose's eyes were closed, her head shook no, as Doc allowed a rising thought to grow. He sipped his tea, a moment more to think on thoughts as savory as his sugared drink, before he gave a satisfying sigh to an idea that she would surely buy. He said, "This pup is free and yours to take. And though you'll find him sweet as lemon cake, I'll add some glaze that's sure to have appeal and make it easy to accept the deal. To cover costs, I will employ the lad. As you see, my hip and back are bad, and I can't climb on ladders, risking falls, or haul a heavy pail or shovel stalls. I'll pay him well. The boy would be of use. I'll treat him as my own, with no abuse." When Caroline returned, the cradled pet was like a baby in a bassinet. Its patted lips looked like the dog was weeping. With rumpled eyelids closed, the dog was sleeping. Its skin was bunched in folds on legs and throat, as if a boy who wore his father's coat. This wrinkled bloodhound, mixed of black and brown, had long and droopy ears cascading down her forearm like a waterfall of felt. The scene could cause the hardest heart to melt, and Doc would not allow the chance to pass. Imagine both in gallop through the grass, and Clancy's childhood now filled with joy. For boy needs dog as much as dog needs boy. Clancy's eyes grew wide and filled with woe, with batting lashes like a pleading doe. It didn't always work, but on that day, the look meant that her son would get his way. Though Red would yell at her and stomp his feet, in forfeiture, Miss Rose exhaled defeat, because of all her son had been denied. Those finer things that money does provide. Palatial homes with butlers at the door, their luggage packed for summers at the shore. The hats, the clothes, the bedding made of silk were fed to townies like their mother's milk. But necks had shacks and worked through summer's heat. They made their clothes, their beds had not a sheet. So yes, she would allow her son this mirth, replacing all the treasures of the earth. So Caroline, like passing a newborn child, presented him the waking pup and smiled. The boy and dog exchanged a single look, and all could see that both of them were hooked.